Unit 8. Spell.
天候の一続きの期間
The extended dry spell caused water shortages. Exempt.
を免除する
These imports are exempted from tax. Illiberal.
強量な
We strongly protested against the illiberal policies. Havoc.
大規模な破壊混乱
Heavy snow caused havoc all over the country. Lobby.
議員に働きかけるロビー活動をする
They are lobbying hard for the bill. Imposing.
堂々とした
He was a more imposing person than his predecessor. Retaliation.
報復
The U.S. started to attack the country in retaliation for the terrorism. Tint.
色合い
The liquid has a greenish tint. Rig.
を不正に操作する
The election was rigged in favor of the ruling party. Rendezvous.
予定した時間場所で人と会う約束会うこと
She had a secret rendezvous with her ex-boyfriend that night. Scorn.
をあざける
His idea was scorned by most scientists. Livestock.
家畜
We are raising a wide variety of livestock.
Holistic.
全体論の全体論的な
We tried a holistic approach to the problem. Reconcile.
を調和させる調整する
We must reconcile our ideals with reality. Probe.
調査
The police have launched a probe into the incident. Agrarian.
農業の
India is one of the largest agrarian countries in the world. Paralysis.
麻痺
The injury caused paralysis of my left hand. Fatally.
決定的に
Their plan was fatally flawed in some respects. Palate.
味覚
She was born with a sensitive palate. Impunity.
処罰を受けないこと
They were selling illegal drugs with impunity. Degrade.
を分解する劣化させる
This herb can degrade the specific poison. Perilous.
危険な
The country is politically in a perilous situation. Scavenge.
ゴミを漁る
A flock of crows were scavenging for food. Upstart.
成り上がり者
He is an upstart and doesn't deserve his current position.
Milestone.
画期的事件出来事
The opening of this plant is an important milestone in the history of our company. Presume.
と推定するみなす
The accused are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Polytheistic.
多神教の
People here believe in a polytheistic religion. Denomination.
貨幣の単位
He sorts bills by denomination in his wallet. Heed.
に気をつける
Please heed warning signs. Repository.
貯蔵庫宝庫
Proverbs are repositories of folk wisdom. Leverage.
効力影響力
They no longer have any leverage against us. Elimination.
除去削除
The charcoal is used for elimination of smell. Rampant.
蔓延したはびこった
Drug abuse is rampant in this area. Futile.
不毛な無益な
Resistance is futile, said the police. Sovereign.
国王君主
She was the first female sovereign of the country. Chafe.
苛立つ
The students chafed at the strict control by teachers.
Communal.
共同の共有の
I grow some vegetables in a communal farm garden. Homogeneous.
同質の均質の
Japan tends to be considered a homogeneous society. Encroach.
領域などに侵入する
They encroached illegally into the forest reserve. Oppress.
を虐げる圧迫する
The workers were severely oppressed. Hover.
数値がほぼ安定している
The average temperature of the area hovers at around 18 degrees Celsius. Sterile.
不妊の生殖能力のない
These seeds are made sterile by genetic engineering. Cumulative.
累積的な累加による
He studies the cumulative effects of exercise on health. Commodity.
価値のあるもの商品
Oil became a more valuable commodity. Dog.
不幸などがにつきまとう
The player has been dogged by knee injuries. Scapegoat.
身代わりスケープゴート
Video games are often made a scapegoat for youth violence. Spouse.
配偶者
A spouse is someone you are legally married to. Inhibit.
を抑制する阻害する
A lower birth rate could inhibit economic growth.
Sprawl.
都市の膨張
Agricultural land is disappearing because of urban sprawl. Humiliate.
人に恥をかかせる
They were humiliated in public. Toxic.
毒性のある。
The material gives off toxic fumes when it burns. Vault.
飛び越える。
The thief vaulted over the guardrail and ran away. Emigrate.
移住する。
Her grandparents emigrated to Brazil. Filthy.
汚れた、不潔な。
Many streets in that area are filthy with litter. Tariff.
関税。
The country abolished the tariff on U.S. beef. Barren.
土地が不毛の。
It is hard to imagine that area was once a barren desert. Cherish.
を大事にする。
She cherishes her cat very much. Withhold.
を与えずに置く、保留する。
The information was withheld for security reasons. Reside.
事物、性質などが存在する、備わっている。
The problem resides in his inability to control himself. Deficit.
不足額、赤字。
They are seeking ways to reduce the budget deficit.
Haunt.
人につきまとう。
Bitter memories of my childhood always haunt me. Hull.
船体、船底部。
The hull of the ship got heavily damaged. Confer.
を与える、授与する。
To acknowledge her work, an honorary doctorate degree was conferred on her. Traitor.
反逆者、裏切り者。
He was convicted as a traitor and sentenced to death. Plea.
嘆願、請願。
The company ignored their pleas to stop the plant construction. Explicit.
明白な、あからさまな。
The article included explicit references to the singer's life. Ballot.
投票、票。
More than 90% of the voters cast their ballots for him. Nuisance.
迷惑、厄介なもの。
Spam emails are a nuisance. Haphazardly.
無計画に、でたらめに。
Small houses have been built haphazardly on the hillside. Compatible.
適合する。
His blood type is compatible with that of the patient. Orchestrate.
お組織する、画策する。
He orchestrated the merger of the two companies. Regress.
対抗する、逆行する。
The patient's maturity regressed to a 5-year level.
Inject.
を注射する、注入する。
You need to inject insulin 4 times a day. Fanatically.
熱狂的に。
He has some fanatically religious friends. Treason.
反逆罪。
He was arrested for treason against the country. Frail.
弱々しい。
The patient has looked increasingly frail. Compassion.
思いやり。
We ought to have compassion for the elderly. Beneficiary.
恩恵を受ける人。
Rich people are the major beneficiaries in this system. Odious.
不快な。
The cave was filled with an odious smell. Annex.
領土、国を併合する。
Texas was annexed by the United States in 1845. Inept.
適性がない、下手な。
He is inept at communicating with others. Agitate.
運動をする、アジテーションをする。
The group agitated for the amendment of the Constitution. Conspiracy.
陰謀、
He is said to have been a party to the conspiracy. Equivocal.
曖昧な。
She gave an equivocal answer to my question.
Terse.
そっけない。
She gave a terse no comment when I asked about her divorce. Sprout.
発芽する。
The seeds sprouted 2 weeks after sowing. Modicum.
少量。
We also need a modicum of luck to win the game. Debit.
から金額などを引き落とす。
The camping goods store debited his account for the tent he purchased. Novelty.
目新しいもの、目新しさ。
Email was a novelty at that time. Classified.
秘密の、機密の。
Very few people have access to this classified information. Solidarity.
団結、連帯。
He expressed his solidarity with the Tibetan people. Diameter.
直径。
This circle is 2 feet in diameter. Detention.
判決前の拘留、留置。
The man has remained in detention since his arrest. Genial.
愛想の良い、陽気な。
She is of a genial social disposition. Relentless.
容赦のない。
The sales targets put relentless pressure on the workers. Adulation.
賛美、称賛。
His novel won him public adulation.
Upstage.
よりも注目される、の影を薄くする。
He only played a bit role and upstaged the leading man. Steer.
を操縦する、運転する。
This wheelchair can be steered by brainwaves. Obligatory.
義務的な、強制的な。
A bike helmet is not obligatory in the country. Malady.
組織、社会などの病兵、
Economic problems are the main source of the social malady. Pious.
信心深い、敬虔な
She is a very pious woman who attends church every week. Divert.
の方向を変える、
Construction to divert the river started. Hypnosis.
催眠術、
The doctor put the patient under hypnosis. Proclivity.
好ましくない傾向、
She has a proclivity for exaggeration. Submerge.
を水没させる、
The flood submerged thousands of houses. Redeem.
弱点などを補う、
The great performances of the actors redeem the flaws in the story. Dormant.
休止状態の
The volcano has remained dormant since 1859. Expunge.
を抹殺する、抹消する。
All personal data will be expunged from the record.
Taciturn.
無口な、
He is taciturn by nature. Extravagant.
浪費する、習慣などが贅沢な。
His extravagant spending habits caused him to get into debt. Lackluster.
活気のない、
He was blamed for his lackluster sales performance. Translucent.
半透明の、透き通るような。
The light is passing through the translucent screen. Reclaim.
を取り戻す。
He aims to reclaim the heavyweight title. Copious.
多量の、豊富な。
These mountains provide us with copious amounts of water. Crude.
粗雑な。
He gave a crude estimate of the cost for the project. Tribute.
感謝の印、贈り物。
She wrote this song as a tribute to her dead mother. Excruciatingly.
耐え難いほど。
The medical treatment was excruciatingly painful. Strenuous.
骨の折れる、きつい。
Developing a new market is a strenuous task. Usher.
を案内する。
She ushered me into her office. Leftover.
料理の残り物。
I don't feel like throwing away leftover food.
Repulse.
を不快にさせる。
We were repulsed by a heap of garbage on the beach. Temperament.
気質、気性。
He has an artistic temperament and is very sensitive. Elucidate.
を解明する、説明する。
Research is needed to elucidate the reasons for the inflation. Serene.
穏やかな。
We took a walk along the serene beach. Oblivious.
気づかない、気に留めない。
They are oblivious to the global environmental crisis. Disgruntled.
不満を抱いた。
Disgruntled employees crowded into the president's office. Deliberation.
熟考。
After much deliberation, they decided to accept the offer. Spurious.
偽の、偽造の。
The report was based on spurious information. Assail.
を激しく攻撃する。
She assailed the government's economic policies. Benefactor.
講演者、慈善を施す人。
She is the founder and benefactor of the school. Replete.
満ちた。
Nature is replete with mysteries. Atrocity.
残虐行為。
The troops committed many atrocities during the war.
Formidable.
敵、問題などが手強い。
They managed to beat their formidable opponent in the match. Averse.
嫌がる。
The actor is averse to public appearances. Legislate.
法律を制定する。
They are asking the government to legislate against abortion. Disheveled.
髪、服装などが乱れた。
Her clothing was disheveled. Coax.
をなだめすかす、誘導する。
The kids coaxed their father into taking them to the amusement park. Composure.
落ち着き。
He lost his composure and screamed. Obsolete.
時代遅れの、廃れた。
These types of games have become obsolete in the past few years. Hectic.
慌ただしい。
Sorry for the delay in replying, but things have been hectic. Wage.
戦争、運動などを行う。
The party is waging a vigorous election campaign. Berate.
を叱る。
His boss berated him for being lazy. Quiver.
震える。
His lips quivered as he spoke to the audience. Inoculate.
に予防接種する。
The school students have been inoculated against polio.
Aesthetically.
美的に。
This product is not only aesthetically appealing, but also functional. Vicious.
凶暴な。
The trainer turned the vicious dog into a gentle pet. Consummate.
をやり遂げる。
The two big companies consummated the merger. Hilarious.
とても面白い。滑稽極まる。
It was a hilarious movie. Subsidence.
地盤などの沈下。
This region is subject to subsidence due to groundwater extraction. Waver.
動揺する。迷う。
She never wavered in her opposition to the war. Verge.
橋、境界、
The bird is on the verge of extinction. Discrepancy.
不一致、
There are some discrepancies between the two sets of data. Tedium.
退屈、
I wanted to escape from the tedium of lying in the hospital bed. Despicable.
卑劣な、
Child abuse is extremely despicable. Intimate.
親しい、親密な、
We have been intimate friends for 20 years. Discern.
を認識する、識別する、
I discerned clear differences in their behavior patterns.
Incipient.
病気などが初期の、
Use a fire extinguisher in the incipient stage of a fire. Transient.
放浪者、流れ者、
He was a transient moving from place to place. Treacherous.
危険な、足場などが不安定な、
The climbers went on the treacherous mountain road. Indicative.
表す、暗示する、
The presence of fireflies is indicative of good water quality. Coarse.
きめの粗い、
This cloth is very hard and coarse. Gluttonous.
退職感の、
Two gluttonous guys competed in a hot dog eating contest. Amicable.
友好的な、
They enjoyed an amicable relationship even after their divorce. Quarantine.
隔離、検疫、
That dog was kept in quarantine for 30 days. Disoriented.
方向を見失って、
I became disoriented in the thick fog. Squint.
目を細めてみる、
She squinted into the microscope. Conceit.
うぬぼれ、
She is full of conceit. Rancor.
憎しみ、恨み、
I have no rancor against anybody.
Fastidious.
気難しい、口うるさい、
He is known as a fastidious director. Torture.
を拷問にかける、
The police tortured him to extract confessions. Agonize.
悩む、
I agonized over what to wear for the job interview. Morose.
むっつりした、
She looked morose and did not answer any questions. Dismal.
ひどい、惨めな、
The men had to work in fairly dismal conditions. Assimilate.
を同化する、
She seems completely assimilated into American society. Affix.
を貼る、添付する、
He affixed a label to the box. Subsistence.
生存、
Subsistence farmers account for the majority of the country's farmers. Transcendent.
並外れた、
Leonardo da Vinci was a transcendent genius. Curtly.
そっけなく、ぶっきらぼうに、
He answered my question curtly. Surrogate.
代理、代理人、
She sent a surrogate to the conference. Confidential.
秘密の、
These documents will be treated as confidential.
Rustic.
田舎風の、
The rustic charm of the village attracts many tourists. Eulogy.
追悼演説、
She delivered a moving eulogy at the funeral. Opulent.
贅沢な、豪華な、
This is the most opulent house I've ever seen. Impartiality.
公平さ、
We tried to maintain impartiality toward all participants. Flamboyantly.
派手に、大胆に、
She was dressed flamboyantly as ever. Moot.
無意味な、非現実的な、
The argument has become moot due to a change in circumstance. Evoke.
感情、記憶などを喚起する、
The neutral colors of the painting evoked a feeling of calm. Discharge.
を解放する、
She was discharged from the Navy. Conspicuous.
目立った、顕著な、
There is a conspicuous lack of study relating to this field. Demeanor.
振る舞い、態度、
She maintained her polite demeanor during the ceremony. Destitute.
貧窮した、極貧の、
Thousands of people were left destitute after the Civil War broke out. Dissolution.
契約などの解消、
This dissolution of the labor contract cannot be justified.
Pledge.
制約、公約、
The Prime Minister is determined to honor his election pledge. Edible.
食べられる、
We gathered some edible wild plants. Roundabout.
遠回しな、遠回りの、
He said yes, though in a roundabout way. Arrogant.
横柄な、尊大な、
His arrogant attitude alienated his friends. Pandemonium.
大混乱、
There was pandemonium as soon as he appeared. Facade.
上辺、表面、
Beneath her cheerful facade lies a dark past. Recklessly.
無謀に、
The man who caused the accident had been continuing to drive recklessly. Propriety.
礼儀正しさ、
We are expected to observe the proprieties. Remuneration.
報酬、
He hasn't received remuneration for his work yet. Shrewd.
頭の切れる、やり手の、
She is a shrewd politician who knows how to deal with the media. Proceeds.
収益、
All the proceeds from this event will go to charity. Showdown.
最終段階、土壇場。
He showed his ability when it came to a showdown.
Yardstick.
判断、比較などの基準、尺度。
Material wealth is not the only yardstick for success. Progeny.
子孫、
His noble qualities are passed on to his progeny. Sheer.
あまりの、全くの。
I was intimidated by the sheer size of the book. Massacre.
大虐殺、
Thousands of people died in the massacre. Rash.
性急な、軽率な。
It would be rash to make a decision now. Decry.
公然とを非難する。
They are decrying the lack of library services in the city. Empower.
2. 権限を与える。
The cabinet is empowered to appoint judges. Ruthless.
非情な。
He is a ruthless politician and will do anything to gain power. Bent.
素質、才能。
Her family has a musical bent and everyone plays an instrument. Bland.
面白みのない。
The movie was bland and forgettable. Status quo.
現状。
The election results show that many people prefer the status quo. Exercise.
悪霊などを追い払う。
An old woman was called to exorcise evil spirits.
Gaunt.
ひどく痩せた。
His sunken eyes and his gaunt face seemed almost skeletal. Mesmerize.
を魅惑する。
Mr. Miller has been totally mesmerized by her beauty. Recur.
悪いことが再び起こる。
The pain recurred after several hours. Gait.
足取り、走り方。
A lion walked away with a leisurely gait. Sedate.
落ち着いた、物静かな。
The hotel is located in a sedate town. Churn.
を攪拌する。
She helped her mother churn milk into butter. Affable.
愛想の良い、親しみやすい。
She's affable and always smiling. Decoy.
おとり役。
The police used him as a decoy to arrest the drug dealer. Intuitive.
直感的な。
Her point rings true on an intuitive level. Pretentious.
もったいぶった、偽りの。
The restaurant is overpriced and pretentious. Unearth.
を掘り出す、発掘する。
An unexploded bomb was unearthed at the construction site. Fraternity.
共通の目的などを持つ人々の団体。
He belonged to the Masonic fraternity.
Gimmick.
からくり、仕掛け。
This is just a gimmick to attract tourists. Shroud.
を覆い隠す。
His past is shrouded in mystery. Empirically.
実験によって、経験的に。
The scientist's theory was proven empirically. Snare.
罠、
They set up snares for rabbits. Panacea.
万能薬。
Although this is a great technology, it is not a panacea. Vigilant.
油断がない、警戒を怠らない。
A pilot must always remain vigilant during the flight. Judicious.
賢明な、
It seems judicious to accept her offer. Ominous.
不吉な、
The sky was covered with ominous gray clouds. Diverge.
それる、
We diverged from the planned route. Sumptuous.
豪華な。
We enjoyed a sumptuous dinner on the top floor of the hotel. Indebted.
恩義がある、借りがある。
I am deeply indebted to Ms. Miller for her valuable advice. Threshold.
新しいものの始まり。
She stands on the threshold of adulthood.
Data file. Inefficiency.
非効率、
Inequality.
不平等、
Inexhaustible.
無尽蔵の、
Inexperienced.
経験のない、不慣れな、
Injustice.
不正、
Insane.
正気でない、異常な、
Insufficient.
不十分な、
Invalid.
無効な、法的効力のない、
Intolerant.
寛容でない、強量な、
Misapply.
を誤用する、
Misconceive.
を誤解する、
Misdeed.
悪事、
Misidentification.
誤認、取り違え、
Misjudge.
の判断を誤る、
Mismanagement.
不手際な管理、下手な処置、
Mistrust.
不信、疑惑
Misunderstand.
を誤解する、
Mistrial.
無効審理、
Non-binding.
拘束力のない、
Non-corporate.
会社形態を取らない、個人の、
Non-existent.
存在しない、実在しない、
Non-legal.
法律と無関係の、
Non-native.
その土地固有でない、原産でない、
overconfidence,
自信過剰、
overcrowding,
過密
overestimate,
を過大評価する
overfeed,
に餌をやりすぎる、
overhead,
頭上の
overreliance,
過度の依存、
overtime,
超過勤務、残業
overwork,
を働かせすぎる、酷使する、
postmodernism,
ポストモダニズム、
postpartum,
産後の
predestined,
を運命づける、
prehistoric,
先史時代の、
premodern,
近代以前の、
reassessment,
再評価、
reassignment,
配置転換
rebook,
の予約を変更する、
rebuild,
を再建する、立て直す、
recapture,
を再逮捕する、取り戻す、
reclassify,
を再分類する、
reconsider,
を考え直す、再考する、
reconvene.
を再招集する。